Hello, hey, hi, welcome back to another video. Today we're going through all of the things I made in June. Today is officially the end of June, which means it is time to wrap up all of the things that I have made this month. This month has been absolutely crazy for me. I have not had nearly as much time that I had in May to actually crochet things, so my plans have kind of gone a little off the wire. I was like thinking of what all I crocheted this month, and I could not think of that many things that I worked on. However, whenever I actually went to round them up, I actually did do quite a lot of things, especially for being so busy this month. So I'm actually really happy about the progress that we've made. So I would like to share that all with you. If you like these videos, let me know. They are very helpful for me, and I think it's a good way to kind of like recap each month of like, oh, I am still making progress, like this month where it feels like I haven't done anything, just to remind myself that I have. And I'm doing good, and it's also not a big deal if I don't. So yeah, let me know down in the comments if you like the series. I hope that you do. Also remember to hit the subscribe button while you're down there. I make a lot of crochet vlogs, crochet challenge videos every once in a while. So if you like that, and if you're new here, make sure you hit the subscribe button, or if you're returning and you haven't yet, it's free to do so, so you might as well. That way you won't miss any of my future videos. June was actually a long month with 30 days, although I guess it's not the longest month because they sometimes have 31 days, although I don't think one day is really gonna alter that much. Anyway, we started out the month by making, what did we start by making? Granny tie tanks, I think. I think that was the first thing I finished. Here we have the medium size. If you saw my video 2 videos ago, I think it was, I made 2 of these. This one has more of like a darker yellow on the outside, and this one's also steamed and ready to go, ends woven in and everything. I do have a second one that is a size extra small. This one is not steamed, so it will stretch a little bit once it is steamed. As you can see, these are 2 size difference, but there's quite a large size difference. So this one will get steamed and stretch a little bit. This one also has more pink in it than yellow, just because I was running out of the yellows. I had more pink, so therefore we did more pink for this one. But overall, I'm actually really happy with these. They were both fast and quick, where they didn't actually take me that long whenever I was actually crocheting, right? Because it's just like 2 large granny squares, which don't take that long. And then the straps are worked into the like last round border. However, they physically took me a long time. Like I think these 2 took me 2 weeks to actually, like from the day I started to the day I finished both of them. Just because me not being here, and I didn't want to bring 3 balls of yarn that are like falling apart on me in like a bag to bring in a hotel, and it was just ugh. But they're done, and I would like to make more. I have more yarn in my closet that I think would be really good for these. I just haven't yet. I haven't been able to, so eventually, hopefully, I'll be able to actually make more. I'm thinking at least 2 more, but in like a orangey blue gray color scheme, but not today, a different time. But I'm overall super happy with these. I had this like vision in my brain, and they are like exactly what I had envisioned. I think they're a little farther off the shoulder than I meant. Like they're still on, but they're definitely like teetering on the edge, which I think will be fine. Plus also there's definitely ways to not have that happen while wearing it. So I think it's really not that big of a deal. It's just I think whenever I was imagining it, I was imagining it more like here, but then if it's a square, it's gonna like give a lot of side. Anyway, happy with how they turned out. Super soft, especially once they're steamed. This one's steamed, so it's like, it's really drapey. So awesome, happy, perfect. My next item is really small, and you haven't seen it technically. If you watched my everything I made in May video, you'll know that I made 1 sock in that whole month. Here is 1 sock, and I have since made 2nd sock. Here they are. I have yet to weave in the ends. However, I actually blocked these not very well. I don't actually have like sock blockers, so I used like an old like box from like my Chewy order that came in, and I cut out a sock blocker shape and blocked them like that. It worked surprisingly well. However, someone has since chewed on them, so they no longer exist. So I will have to either buy new ones or find another box to make them. They definitely could use some improvement, so it's probably for the best that they ended up being chewed. However, I have a new pair of socks. I've also gotten more sock yarn, so I'm very excited to make socks. I'm going to be participating in Nitty Natty's Sock Week coming up in July, and I'm going to make a video about Sock Week, both weeks, week 1 and 2. So stick around for that if you knit socks. If you haven't knit socks, I highly recommend knitting socks. It's so fun. I got recently also to finish these socks like the mini circular needles where they're like this big around and you're like knit, 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 knit. So enjoyable, so much fun. I love it. I also have finally gotten the magic loop to work. I have double pointed needles, which is how I've knit most of my socks, which is fine. However, I felt like I was taking a long time to switch out my needle every 10 stitches. Everyone always is like, oh, magic loop is the way to go to knit your socks. But I could never get it because my interchangeable needles are my go-to, but I only had a 24-inch cord and they're not the most flexible of cords. So I had a really hard time knitting that those first few stitches because it was so tight. So I've since bought a 40-inch cord for my size 2 needles that I typically will knit socks on. And here's kind of what it looks like. So it's not too stretched out, even though it is on a bigger needle than most people do, 2.75 millimeters. I think it's totally fine and it's so much easier to knit on the magic loop. However, I also really like my mini circulars just because I think it's I don't have to think. I could just knit in the round, and so it's very nice. So yeah, I'm definitely going to be knitting a lot more socks. So let me know if you want to see me knit more socks or if I should keep it as I did these on the side, just a little fun, sitting on the TV, knitting my socks and show them here, or if you actually want me to make more videos other than the sock week video. So here are my socks, very fun. This is a self-striping yarn also. I did not change these colors. They came this way, so I think that's really fun. Okay, next are my vests. I think it was my last upload that I made a bunch of these granny square vests. Have I weaved in the ends? No. Is that a probably next week me thing? Yes. Anyway, we have 3 granny square vests. Most of the granny squares were made except for I think 5 of these ones. So it was really just sewing them on and then doing the edging details. I just did a few rounds of single crochet just to even out the squares, give it a nice edge piece to it. I don't know how else to describe it. But yeah, I think these turned out really well. They also will need a steam for sure, a good blocking, and then they'll be a little less rigid. I have this one, which is Pop Culture. I have this one, which is Amethyst, and I have this one, which is Ultraviolet. These are the Red Heart Granny Square all-in-one yarns. I got these years ago, I think 2024, these yarns, and I've been slowly making my way through them. I made a whole video of me making as many granny squares as I could in a week, and that's where all of these came from, other than the 5 I had to make. I am hoping to continue to make these vests. I think there's also a size larger, although these are fairly large. I'd say they're a medium to large size, but there is a larger size that I could do. Or I might be able to make a smaller size. I think it might be the same height, but less wide. I could do that too. These are good. These didn't take too long just because it was just sewing them up and doing a border. But they are still big items, so they feel like I did a lot of work, even though it was definitely not nearly as much work as if I started from scratch this month. However, they were finished this month, and that's all I count. That's all that matters, as long as they were finished within this month. And I'm not counting in the ends. Finished crocheting, okay? Not the ends. That's not a thing. We're ignoring all of these. I don't know if you can see them super well on camera. There's 2 here, there's 1 here, there's 1 here, there's 1 here, there's a bunch of ends basically. But we're ignoring those for now and we're moving on. I also made a mesh sleeve. I think this was also in the same video. I tried to do this while I was away during my time where I'm working in the field where I'm not actually home, and I think it turned out really well. It did take me a little bit longer than I thought it would, which is apparently a running theme in this video, or from this month, I guess. However, I'm very happy with the look of it. This is the Essential 100% Cotton by KNC. Very nice to work with. It has very nice drape, as you can see. This isn't like blocked or steamed or anything. This is just the way it is. I obviously still have my ends to do. But yeah, I think this turned out great. It's a size, I'd say medium. I'm hoping to maybe do some more, maybe in like a larger size, maybe in a smaller size. Although I think I have one in a small size, so maybe we'll stick with the larger size. Maybe in different colors too. I also have a green, so I wouldn't mind making a green in this as well. I think it's perfect also for summer, where it's like sometimes there are days where you don't want like a full top. You know, if you sit in the shade, it's like cooler than if you sit in the sun. And so like in the summer, just a little extra something to put over your arms, just like a little layering piece can be really nice without making you overheat. So the mesh is really nice for that. And also cotton is really breathable and airy, so you won't like super overheat with that either. I think this is a great little summer accent piece, if you will. I believe this was also in the same video. I think most of this was actually in the same video. Videos have been taking me a long time to finish just because I've been so busy, but I made a bunch of pickles. I know you've seen some of these before, and not all of these were made this month. I think I had 3 already done, so then I've done 3 more. And this little baby one, I mean, it is so cute and tiny. Have you ever seen anything this cute before in your life? The answer is no. No, you have not. It's so cute and so tiny and so adorable. I think the baubles poke out a lot more in this one just because it is so much smaller, and it's just so cute. I do have to put mouths on these. However, I'm not worried about that right now. For now, I'm just worrying about the fact that I have pickles. Here they are, all set for my market. I think these are gonna do really well just because they are so cute. I'm calling them emotional support pickles because they squeeze so nicely. You just gotta squeeze, get all your emotions out. So I'm very happy. I officially have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 big ones and a little mini. Again, these don't take a ton of time. However, they feel like a big accomplishment because this is all of the yarn. Like, I have a little ball about this big left. It's not even enough to do another one of these mini ones, so I've officially used all of this chenille yarn that I had no idea what to do with, and officially I have something to do with them, and it's done. It's gone. I'll never have to use it again because I can't. What am I supposed to do with the grass green chenille yarn that's like this big? I can't. Within the same breath of like little things for my market, I have a big bin of scrunchies. Granted, I also did not make all of these in June, but I did do a good amount of them. I think I had 3 of each color, except for, it was either the pink or the blue. No, yeah, it was the pink. The pink, I had 0. I had no pinks. So I've done quite a lot of these so far. I probably did 10 or 12 this month. And they're just, you know, your normal velvet scrunchies made up of velvet yarn. I think they look cool. They're very soft. They're very nice. I'm using the like Mainstays velvet yarn just because that's all I had access to. That like I didn't have to like ship to me. But it's so soft and it's so squishy and very velvety, and it was so easy to work with. Absolutely love it. The yellow one is technically like Bernat velvet that I bought whenever Joann's was going out of business. It's actually not nearly as nice. This, for some reason, the Mainstays velvet is so buttery smooth and so much easier to crochet with than the Bernat velvet. It's still nice, and I love the color. I'm a big yellow fan. So like the color is nice and the stitch definition is nice, but it's just not as easy to work with. It's a little more squeaky, in my opinion. Still not bad, still great. Again, just another quick little project. Although I think this might have taken me 2 days, maybe? to make all these. It wasn't like my only thing though. It would be like, oh, I'm done with working on my big project for the day. Let's make some scrunchies, you know, a good time filler, and I think they ended up looking really good. I'm trying to make like smaller things for my market, and just so that I'm not having like so many like big ticket items, and so I'm hoping that this is like another good thing. This is also something that you have not seen yet. You will see, I think, next week. I'm doing a video on how many bandanas can I make in X amount of hours, and so I have several bandanas to show you. Which one did we start with? We started with this one. I don't remember. I'm probably not going to go in the same order, but this is a like granny square bandana in this like teal-ish color. I have two different kinds of bandanas. One is this granny square and one is more like a solid. The granny square, because there's already so much texture, I haven't done a border, and then you wear it like a little bandana. Very nice. I love this color. I'm using KNC Essential Cotton, 100% cotton. Yeah, it's nice and sturdy, very nice. I also used it for the like mesh sleeves, same cotton. This one is in green. I hope to make another one of those mesh sleeves also in this color. And then the next one I made was the same thing, but in pink. Same thing, Essential Cotton. This is the actual color from the sleeves. Same thing, no border, just pink granny stitch. I figured I should have quite a few granny stitch ones because the name of my thing is granny stitches, and I do already have a few of them. They are in like the tan pink. You'll see ones that I used with the leftovers, and so they are all in the granny stitch, but it's like mostly pink with like every few rows is like a stripe of the tan. But this one's just solid pink, so very good. That's two. Which ones were the next ones that I made? I think I went ahead and I switched over to the bamboo ones, and I think that was this one. So this one is a solid, so I added that a nice little border. This is a picot border right on the edge of a solid one, and then this is using actually the Lion brand Kobu. I already have bandanas made out of this yarn, but none that are like solid like this, both in a solid color and also not in the granny stitch. So I figured this was a good way to kind of round out the options I had for bandanas in case someone didn't want the granny stitch. I know some people aren't a big fan of like the gaps, but I don't know, there's something about this like straight line gaps from like where I had to like put my increases or like do the actual like triangle bit, and I don't know, that's just, it's such a nice touch. I just love it so much. And like this little V, why do I kind of like these more than the granny stitch? I thought I loved the granny stitch, but I don't know, there's something about these solid ones that are just really hitting the spot right now, because I made a lot of them. Granted, I already had a good number of like granny stitch ones, so I did want to have a few more solids, but then this was the other color in that Kobu. This is the kind of like tan-ish color, once again in a solid in that picot border. I don't know, I think it's just pretty and classic and just another solid color. Again, my other ones, they're both granny stitch, and they also use both of them where it's like the pink but then this and like stripes, so a solid color of the tan I think was good. I think if I had more of this I would have done like a full tan granny stitch one, but I didn't have enough. I was like running out of both of these actually, and so then that led me to this one where I used up both of them, but this time in stripes and in the solid, just so that I could use up every last bit of yarn. And I did for, I think both of them. I think the tan I like used up like almost entirely, except for like a little tiny scrap. I don't know if I have it here on my desk. I do not, but like I only had a little tiny scrap, and I think I had a little bit more of the pink, but not nearly enough to even try to do like a single row of a bandana. So, or maybe like one of these rows, maybe. Not enough to do a whole bandana. Into the scrap pile it went. I did also have to cut the last row of this tan short because I was running out, so technically this one is one row shorter than the rest of them, but it's one row, it's really not going to make that much of a difference. It's still a good size bandana. Also, love this Kobu yarn. I'm definitely going to be buying more of this and knitting myself a top. It's so drapey, it's so soft. And I think the like cotton bamboo blend will make a really nice like summer tee. So that's on my to be knit list now, of course. And then I needed some more, so I went ahead and I did another solid, but this time we're back to the K&C Essential. Just another pink, but a solid. I will say this isn't nearly as drapey, but it's still like pretty drapey, you know? This isn't like blocked or anything, and it's still pretty loose. I think there's something about that Kobu yarn. If you've worked with it, you know, like it is loosey-goosey. It has such good drape. This isn't bad, but just not as extreme, I guess. Just another solid, this time all 14 rows. And then to round it out, I didn't have a solid in the green, so here's a solid green too. And then these ones, still picot border, very nice. Same cotton, just different color. I don't know, there's something about this green. I don't wear greens very often, I don't think, but although I think it leans a little bit more blue. Maybe I could, I don't know. Also, pink's not really my color either. It doesn't matter. And that is officially all of the things that I made in June. I almost said May. May was last month. This is June, although I guess June is basically done now, so. I did not make any Pride things, so I apologize if you were hoping to see some Pride things. I don't really have rainbow yarn. Well, I guess I might. I don't know. Let me know if that's a thing I should do next year for Pride Month. I haven't actually made anything for Pride, so I just haven't thought about it. I've been in such like a market making mood, and because the market is in July, I didn't even think to do any Pride stuff. I still feel like this is quite a lot of things, especially for how busy I feel like I've been this month. I'm very happy with all of the things that I've made. I don't think anything really was a flop. I think I actually liked everything. Sometimes I'm like, I like it, but like there's some things that I would change maybe, or like I'm not 100% happy with like the yarn I picked or just somehow how it turned out, but I'm actually really happy with all of these. Some of them are much more than I expected. I think a lot of it too was like I was working on smaller things, so I didn't have a lot of big things. Whenever I was thinking of stuff that I made, I really only thought of the mesh sleeves and like the granny tie tanks and like the vests. That's really all I remembered that I made. So the fact that I also made like 4 pickles and like 6 bandanas and like another sock and also like all the scrunchies, that makes me very happy to actually see the progress. And like, yes, some of them are small so they don't take up as much time, and like the vests are technically big, but like they didn't actually, like I'm not crocheting every single one of those squares this month. The total itself just feels nice. It feels nice to have all of those things done, except for my ends, but again, later me problem. I'm putting them off till the very last second. Would you expect anything else from me? No. No, because I hate weaving in ends, and so I'm absolutely going to wait till the last minute. And I will be hating my now self. My future self will be hating my now self for that decision, but I don't care. Myself right now does not care. So anyway, thank you so much for watching this video. If you liked it, make sure you like it, subscribe so that you don't miss any more of my future videos. I post a lot of crochet vlogs, crochet challenge videos, these little recap videos once a month. And so if any of that sounds good to you, make sure you hit the subscribe button so you don't miss any of those. I also have a bunch of other videos in case you're bored and looking for something to watch. You can go check out all of the other ones that I've posted. I hope you like them. If you like this one, you'll probably like those too. And I will see you all next week.